False alarm! Hey! Check that out. Also, Orgno, thank you for coming over to Twitch to drop the follow as well. Alright, it was just a hiccup. False alarm. Continue as planned. Although it still completely fucks up YouTube. YouTube is now going to have to, again, rejoin a new fucking stream. Because instead of just having, like, sideways slash stream, where if I do something live, it just shows up there, it creates an entirely new web page for the video, as if I'm making a new video live. That's how it works over on YouTube. Whereas with Twitch, you can just come to my channel. It's always the same spot. And if something happens, like I get knocked off for a second, it will just come back up once it's ready. You might have to refresh, but it's the same spot. That is not the case on YouTube. Anyway, that was a false alarm. That doesn't count. It reconnected right away. But if I do drop hard again, that will be it for the night. Anyway, so as I was saying, we just acquired 6 Marines, which is what we need in order to create our own little backup squad. So we are going to prepare a concealed weapon. What do we want? We, spray poison. Like, boy, these are some silly weapons. We're going to get that matte black polycarbonate pistolet. We want that pistolet. Give me that pistolet. We are also coming in with a secret holocorder. We're going to record everything because I hate this guy. I don't like this guy. I like Asconia. This guy's a traitor. We don't like this guy. So we're going to come in here. We're going to record everything, and then we're going to turn his ass into the authorities. And we're going to bring a squad of Marines to make it happen. So we're going in to betray this motherfucker. He thinks he can trust us, but in reality, we are already Asconian. We already want to join the Diktat. He had no idea. He talked to the wrong guy. Now we're going to board and head to his safe house. With a flash of the Syndrian Diktat crest, the shuttle receives navigation instructions from orbital traffic control. The whirls of storms and rivers of clouds hang before you over the shining Vulturnian sea. Closer, you begin to make out the lights of floating habitats, sprawling farm envelopes, and transient mining platforms. The shuttle hits Atmo with a barely perceptible change in the craft's harmonics. As the surface grows closer, the glittering lights and reflections of artificial structures resolve into a sparkling of garbage. Plumes of smoke from processing plants, oil slicks from extraction platforms, a spew of jetsam trailing from the overcrowded halves. So the place is basically a bunch of floating cruise ships dumping trash. Just the worst on this beautiful planet. Anyway, the current regime has allowed the industrial conglomerates to self-regulate, providing they are politically reliable. Oh, that sounds familiar. Ram's Safe House is in a logistics and warehousing complex attached to the spur of one such industrial cluster. The air is thick with the sweet stench of petrochem. Your disguised Marine squad fans out, passing plausibly. God, I hate some of the, like, Alright, I'm gonna keep reading. The writing style always bothers me in some of these because they're unnecessarily verbose and flowery when they could just be more to the point. Sometimes it's great, but when you have to, like, when it's everything, it wears a little bit. At least on me. I have a weird, like, I also do writing in my spare time, so sometimes this kind of stuff stands out to me. Like, my constant refrain is put the thesaurus put the thesaurus down, please. Anyway, passing Plaza B for workers on a shift break, snacking on nutrition bars, and igniting narco sticks. A quick glance at your datapad shows your perspective in perfect miniature. The holorec unit is working perfectly. So, we're all set. Step inside the safe house. This is Yannick, by the way. Look at that gorgeous mug. Looks like the skin's ready to just fall right off. A plainclothes insect goon, obvious from their demeanor, opens the door, looks you over disapprovingly, and relieves you of your holstered sidearm before leading you down the metal stairs to a dark inner room below the street level. So we always have like a holstered sidearm. It's brought up quite a bit. Welcome back, Delta. And we're getting ready to bust into a safe house and jump this Goomba. So they took my sidearm, but I still have the secret pistol, that the concealed weapon. Yannick Ram sits at a cheap conference table. Dismissing the goon with a wave, the door thuds shut behind you, its weight suggesting armor or shielding. Captain, I am so pleased that you have joined me. We have much to discuss, much to do. Ram stands with a chilly smile. So this is the guy that's like, he really, really thinks that he's got what it takes to fix everything that's wrong with the diktat. He thinks he's hot shit, and we're gonna rustle his fucking jimmies. I have definitely cursed way too much for YouTube. They're not gonna be happy. Simply put, the plan, and my fellow patriots are in agreement, is to test and provoke the leaders of the Syndrian Diktat's 3 arms of power. So yeah, he considers himself a patriot. He's about to rustle everyone's jimmies and get everything back the way it should be, back to the glory days. They will either prove their loyalty to the vision of the Supreme Executor, Lion of Syndria, Philip Andrada, that's the dude in charge, or they will show themselves to be corrupt cowards and traitors who must be executed to ensure the purity of the great cause. So Philip Andrada is the dictator here, and the word on the street is he's either in terrible health or dying or already dead. And that's why everything's going to shit. Because everyone is, it's like these 3 branches that he's mentioned and who he's about to go into detail about, he's accusing them of essentially running things, but not in good faith. You are correct. Hold on, let me do this correctly, Horgno. Auspicious Supreme Chief, Overlord, President, Executive, Gas Station Manager, Philip Andrada. Absolutely, that's my headcanon. I love that. There's a mod that literally reforms this entire area with the idea of gas station manager. Like, his dream was to become the ultimate gas station. And if you have to explore one mod, that's pretty high on the list of mods to explore. Highly recommend it. You can find it over at the mod index under Philip Andrada, Pagsum. Philip Andrada Gas Station Manager. Fantastic mod. Highly recommend. It also works very well with other mods, if you're concerned about that. They do a great job of making sure it integrates in a lot of different ways. Highly recommend checking it out. So, back to Yannick. First, the Navy. While the Grand Star Marshal is normally in charge, he lies half-conscious in a clinic on Syndria. The Supreme Executor should have replaced him a cycle ago, but, Ram pauses significantly, has not. Gasp. Oh, it's already been updated. Nice. That might be one that I explore sooner than later. In his place, Deputy Star Marshal Oksana Hyder, I think it's Hyder, Oksana Hyder, commands the Asconian System Defense Armada. She is unimaginative, and I suspect she regrets leaving the hegemony behind during the Battle of Salus. Play it cool for now, let him talk more. Enough of this! Prepare your weapon! Let him talk, make sure the holo recording is getting everything. Call in the Marine Squad. No. We're gonna let him talk. We'll make sure we're getting everything. With Ram distracted by pacing and ranting, you take a peek at your datapad. The holorec rig reads all green, but the signal seems to be rapidly degrading. There must be some kind of interference. An automatic counter signal unit in the safe house? Will Ram be alerted if you keep transmitting? Ooh. Spicy. You know what? I think we have enough on the recording I think we'll turn it off. Yeah, record a hard memory. Record to hard memory. We'll be, yeah. We don't need a transmission. Honestly, I don't know why we were transmitting in the first place, but we just need a hard recording. Come on. Anyway. Next, Guard High Deputy Executor Horatio Caden. By the decree of Dictat, he holds the second-in-command rank to the Supreme Executor and leads the Lion's Guard, which is sworn to protect the person of Philip Andrada and the integrity of his political and spiritual vision. Ram clenches his jaw, anger now showing through. Caden has clearly failed. He is a dogmatic simpleton, repeatedly the words of the lion without feeling, or repeating the words of the lion without feeling them, knowing them. They do not burn in his heart as they do in ours. Captain Ram is almost shouting towards the ceiling. Oh, excuse me. They do not burn in his heart as they do in ours. Captain Ram is almost shouting towards the ceiling, perhaps addressing Caden and the other misguided followers of the Syndrian Dictat. Let him keep going. We're not in a hurry, as long as he's going to keep giving us juicy details for our lovely recording. We can upload a sick video after this. Syndrian Nerd gets pwned. There's a muffled thump. Ram's goons dropping something? But the weight of the door suggests it would take a great deal more force to make a sound which could be heard in this room. Which brings me to Chief High Inspector General Dallas Macario. Ram continues, almost spitting. Head of the Internal Secret Service, of which I am, of course, a part. Never was there more. Ram pauses in his tirade, lifting a hand to his ear. He turns to you with a confused look. The door flies open in a flash. The thud of a shockwave buffets you back a half step, ears ringing. Blurred shadows burst in, targeting lasers flickering, firearms covering you and Ram. Through the settling of cloud of dust steps a man in a long black coat over a perfect black uniform. Ram gapes, hands raised, now mercifully at a loss for words. The pistol in the man's hand barks once. Yannick Ram falls to the ground, dead. Captain Moses Picard, says Dulles Macario, head of the Syndrian Dictat Internal Security Ministry in person. The Spider of Syndria, they call him, who lurks in the lion's shadow and strings up his enemies, extracts their secrets, and makes them suffer before they are disappeared. Macario's weapon is aimed at you now. What an awkward first meeting. He glances down, then looks back up, smiling like a corpse. My humblest apologies. But first, he dips his pistol once towards the floor. Would you be so good? As you hesitate, he says, Your clever little pistol. Drop it. The squad's targeting lasers hold steadily on you. So, yeah. Surprise. I gotta say, again, I was playing this all up for the people who this is their first time. I've done this before. I was prepared for this. Spoiler. So, yeah, we're gonna drop our weapon and play along. Because after all, this is the man we were going to turn the other man into. That's the role play. We were gonna get the goods on Dickhead, the dead guy, and turn it into the director of intelligence, not the director himself. How we would not, of course, be able to, like, we wouldn't get a meeting with him. He would never grace us with his presence, but surprise, here he is. So we're going to drop our weapon like a good little boy. He holsters his pistol, and stepping over Ram's cooling body, draws a chair from the table. Let us sit for a moment. All this excitement. I would very much like to have a chat with you. We're gonna sit, because, hey, this is exactly what we want. Macario gives his soldiers a dismissive little wave. You expect that they'll be at the ready nearby. Captain Ram was a traitor and has met the end which all traitors deserve. Macario leans back in the cheap folding chair, looking thoughtful. See, this is kind of what I like about... This is where the veracity and the writing is great. Because the guy is comfortable in this folding chair. Like, he doesn't need extravagance. Like, he does a dirty job. And he's always comfortable. Even in a cheap folding chair. Doesn't care. He just makes himself at home. Because, you know, he thinks he runs the place. He probably does, more than anyone else. I am embarrassed to admit that he was also, in the broad strokes, correct in his assessment of current state of our dear Sindrian Dictat, and his plan is a reasonable one. I have decided to enact it with your cooperation. Yeah, the storytelling in this game is fantastic, especially the first time through. A lot of the reasons why I will complain about the flowery writing is because I've already gone through it myself, so I'm reading it out loud for chat, and reading it out loud is the worst way to enjoy some of this material. Because just reading it is fine, but reading it out loud, you constantly trip over a lot of the overly verbose and overly extravagant writing style. It just trips up constantly. And while it's great to read, reading it out loud is a struggle sometimes. Unnecessarily so. But anyway, fantastic writing. Even if all you do is play the game to just go through the main story and go through all the side quests and go through all the writing, you'll get your money's worth. Guarantee it. So, we decide to... What's in it for me? Why would I ever want to help you? What plan? He was rambling. The answer is no. Of course, I live to serve the Sindrian Dictat. What's funny is I want that option without the lie, because that's the reality. I've come here because I want to join the Dictat. What plan? He was rambling. That I think is closest. Macario smiles thinly. The plan is simple enough. In light of the Supreme Executor's upcoming transition, we must root out treason and corruption at the highest level, by which I mean, of course, those arms of the state which project violent force. The Navy, in the persons of Oksana Hyder, and the Lions Guard, in the persons of Horatio Caden. I, of course, see to the reliability of my own ministry. His eyes flicked to indicate Ram's corpse. Once the means of force are purged of traitors, they shall burn out the rot that has taken root in this great project, the so-called Volturnian resistance and the double blight of Nortia and Umbra in rebellion. Once our power base in Asconia is consolidated, the Dictat may turn its gaze outward. What I really liked about this story too is, as a more casual player, like, I tend to engage in what is provided, so I'm not aware of any other lore that might be outside of the game. I don't look into that kind of stuff. So it never occurred to me, Nortia is an independent faction inside the Dictat. Umbra is a pirate faction colony inside the Dictat. Nortia and Umbra inside the Asconian system, which is otherwise all Sindrian. Inside this system, they are not part of it. So it only occurred to me until I went through this quest line the first time. Oh, that makes sense. They're in open rebellion. Nortia is an independent, and Umbra went full pirate. That just goes to show you